Andrew, let's just dive right into it. We don't need an intro. Henry Cavill is back as Superman.
Oh, that's such exciting news. And there were kind of flutters and rumors going around. There were rumors that Henry Cavill was going to be cast as Hyperion in Marvel, which seems like they weren't true now. But we finally, with the release of Black Adam, got that end post-credit scene where Henry Cavill shows up, unveiling that he will be returning to the DC universe as Superman, making all of our hearts skip a beat, because that's who is our Superman. I think everybody loves Henry Cavill, so that's great news to everybody and renewed hope for the DC universe.
Yeah, renewed hope, and he's the symbol of hope. It's perfect. He was rumored to play a few different characters in Marvel. And then he's also been busy with Witcher, and then it was rumored that he was going to show up to the Comic-Con when The Rock was there and announced that he's back, and then he never did, and everyone's like, oh, he's busy with The Witcher and all this stuff.
He's also just filmed for Enola Holmes, his role as Sherlock, so he's a very in-demand actor.
Yeah, that comes out this week, so it'll probably already be out by the time this podcast is out. The first Enola Holmes was good. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
Millie Bobby Brown is a really good young actress. I enjoyed the movie and the style they filmed it in, that kind of like personal main character relationship with the camera and the audience.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a better movie than I was expecting it to be when I went into it. I didn't know anything about it. So I like when I watch movies like that, when I don't know anything about it. But anyways, he's back as Superman. What does this mean for the DCEU?
I think it means, like I said, renewed hope, revitalization of the franchise. I think it shows that the new leadership with Warner Brothers Discovery is focused on keeping up with what the fans want to see, keeping up with the good things about DC and the DCU, and hopefully maybe some course correcting, fixing some mistakes, and doing away with some of the things that fans don't like. Nobody was happy to hear that Henry Cavill was dropped from DC, dropped from Superman, and no less, that news was released publicly, where he saw it online on his birthday, is the story that they tell. The first time he saw it was, rather than him being told personally, and preferably not on his birthday.
Why? How did all that go down?
Doesn't it seem odd? It seems too weird to be a mistake. Like, these studios do so much on purpose. It's hard to believe that out of the 365 days in the year, they just happen to release that news on his birthday.
But like, how do you end up firing Superman when you're still carrying on with the same universe? Like, how does that even make any sense?
It doesn't sound like any kind of plan. Henry Cavill seems to be, from all considerations, from my perspective, a pretty stand-up guy. I doubt that they had any good reason to drop him or fire him. I'm sure he expects to be compensated, correctly for his role in the DC universe, but I'm sure that, fair is fair, and they can afford to find a middle ground between the two of them.
Right, for sure. And I mean, it's such an iconic character too. Part of that goes along with playing the characters, the fandom, the fan that goes around with it, right?
Yeah.
The popularity that goes around with it, and the other roles that you'll be able to get with it and stuff.
Yeah. Cavill doesn't play a lot, I think, into the more I'm trying to think of the correct word, but he doesn't play a lot into the high schooly aspects of the celebrity world. So I don't think we'll necessarily get to know if there was any behind the scenes kind of problems. Gossip is the word I'm looking for. I don't think he is much of a guy to come out and say, oh, well, they did this and this and wronged me.
Well, especially now. I mean, if he was going to do it, it would have already happened, right? I mean, it's been 5 years since he's done anything for Superman. So he didn't shoot anything for the Snyderverse cut of the Justice League. They just repurposed all that footage. So it's been since 2017 since he's been in the suit, which it's a long time.
Yeah. I know he's excited to be back, and I think he does love the character. I just hope that he's being treated, respectfully by the studios and the creators, because
I still don't understand why they got rid of him in the first place.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm right on board with you. I mean, because He hasn't done anything wrong from the public perspective. Nobody's seen like a fireable offense or any drastic news coming out from his personal life. So I don't know.
You're right. He's not into all the drama because he would have said something by now.
Yeah. He seems to generally
throw punches back at DC, but I haven't heard anything like that over the years.
He seems to generally keep to himself. And if you follow him on Instagram, it's just kind of, he'll post a picture of for a workout. I mean, he posted a video a while ago because he did a workout that was like to raise money for veterans. He'll post like his baking, like making bread or a brisket or something. He'll post big news like this. Like we got to see that awesome selfie video that he posted announcing his return as Superman. But it's kind of few and far between. It's not tons of pictures of him walking the red carpet or doing all kinds of photo shoots. He does seem like he likes to keep a lower profile, even though he is this huge Hollywood presence.
And then with this means that he's no longer going to be on The Witcher, which a lot of people seem to be disappointed about. I guess he was locked in for 7 seasons, and he's only done 3.
Yeah, he was Geralt of Rivia, and he crushed it. I think he's the absolute best part of the show. I really only have watched it mostly because of Henry Cavill. I know that's probably not some fans' favorite thing to hear because I haven't read the books, and I played the games very minimally. They weren't my favorite, the games, so my main draw to the series was Henry Cavill, and I don't know if I'll continue to watch The Witcher now that Liam Hemsworth is replacing him, which I don't mean as any form to disrespect to Liam Hemsworth, but I'm a big Henry Cavill fan, and like I said, was the main draw for me.
Yeah, it's kind of like if they did a Jason Bourne movie without Jason Bourne.
Which I don't think many people...
Oh, wait, they did that.
Yeah, I don't think many people were that excited for Bourne Legacy,
and
but...
It's not like Jeremy Renner did a bad job in that movie.
He's just not Jason Bourne. It's
just not the character. You know, it's like we say all the time, like what's the point of this movie other than to just grab money? Yeah. Right? Like what's the point of the story? How is it moving everything else forward?
Yeah. To me, it's like no one else will ever be The Witcher. I'll have a hard time buying someone else as Iron Man, from Robert Downey. It's just some things are captured that way. I'd have a hard time buying another Captain America than Chris Evans. Yeah, who's going to be Sparrow. No one else is going to be Jack Sparrow. Yeah. And to me, it's already the same thing with The Witcher, even only having had 2 seasons. You said they had him signed in for 7 seasons. Yep. Usually people don't sign on to that big of a commitment. I mean, short of like the Marvel universe.
He was making around $1 million an episode?
That's ridiculous. The thing is though, he's following his passion of Superman, which I'm sure he's getting paid incredibly well for anything he's going to do in the future with Superman. But I think he's very passionate about both characters, and he just ultimately I don't know the behind the scenes, but I just imagine his schedule with how in demand an actor he is with what we just talked about. He can't continue to do like a long form TV series like The Witcher. They're filming not in the United States. I believe they're filming in Europe. Yeah. So that's thousands of miles away, huge time commitment.
When he got the call to do the Superman end credit scene of Black Adam, he was working on The Witcher, and he was saying that he had 6-day work weeks and that they're full all those days, so he had to ask for permission to leave, and he's like, I can't really tell you why, but I have to go and do this thing. But obviously when he says that, like, what do you think he's going to go do? So then he like kind of snuck away, and he went to the studio, I believe somewhere in Europe, and they were in this like backstage area that's like very quiet and like locked on, like locked down to where not really anyone knew about it and stuff, and kind of snuck in, put on the suit. He said he chose the Man of Steel suit because of the nostalgia aspect of it, and he was back. Now he's cutting ties with The Witcher, which is kind of surprising, right? Like, I feel like that'd be hard. Like, if you're in that position, do you want to continue your story or kind of end it there and just let it be as good as it was? Or wait for him to come back or something. Like, there's a lot of like variables that go on with it. I definitely understand why they would want to recast the character if they had a 7-season plan.
The thing is, if I was considering it from an artistic perspective, I would end it with 3 seasons. If it was 1 season, that's one thing. because then you're just cutting the show short with really no where to run. But I think you can tell a good story in 3 seasons. So I'd find a way to end it in 3 for artistic reasons.
And just do like some reshoots to finish season 3. Is season 3 out?
No, just 2.
Yeah, so I'd do like some reshoots to finish season 3.
Cavill's tied into season 3. He will be in season 3, so I would end it with Cavill. But for financial reasons, I could see the motivation when you have a plan for 7 seasons to change the actor, because that's potentially, another 4 years and seasons of additional profits for Netflix.
I heard too that, I don't know if this is true or not, but Henry Cavill is a very big fan of like all these projects that he's worked on. He's like a big nerd, plays video games and all that stuff. And that he's real big on the source material. So much so to where in Man of Steel, he was like, I'm not shaving my chest because why would he? But anyways, back to The Witcher. I guess him and the director had like different views of where the character should go. So that could also be kind of going into why they ended up splitting instead of making something work, because it seemed like Henry Cavill really liked the source material while the directors and other people working on the show wanted to take it in a different direction.
And those are like some of the more highly rated, highly sold books of all time. The Witcher series are actually really highly regarded and reviewed. So it's kind of surprising to hear they would want to venture. I guess maybe a director would want to tell their own story, and I can see that where you want to venture out, but I think that a lot of the fans of the series would like to see it translated into film, because the book is very different.
It's kind of like Invincible, right? Like I really, really like the comics, but I want the show to be like a variation of it.
What I like about Invincible is that Robert Kirkman is the creator of the comic and works heavily on the show. So
I think that's why the changes work so well.
Exactly, because it's still the creator getting to just stretch their legs more and improve.
Right.
But another thing I was thinking of that makes it difficult for Henry Cavill to be in 2 big demanding roles like Geralt and Superman is they both require a high level of physicality and a high level of physical fitness in terms of aesthetic. So the time it takes him to like maintain that physique is, I'm sure, a factor in like his limited like amount of free time. He as long as he's in those roles, I'm sure he's contracted he's with a dietitian, he's working out probably 6 days a week at least, putting a lot of time in the gym. That time goes beyond the 6 days of full days of work he already has filming for The Witcher. So
yeah, definitely, that's a good point. He's a busy man. So, Andrew, I want this episode to be kind of quick so we can just kind of wrap it all up. But the last thing I want to kind of touch on is if we're kind of going into our backseat directing segment here. If you are the new CEO of DC, I just named James Gunn and I forget the other guy's name. But
the business head? Yeah, I don't remember either.
But you're the new man in charge. What's your next step from here on?
My next step would be writing the plot of the new Flash movie so that we have a Flashpoint event that recreates the universe, basically in Flashpoint Paradox. They revamp to the New 52 storyline in the comics, and basically that would give the creators free reign, from my perspective, to pick and choose what they want to keep and what they want to change. Oh, we don't want Ben Affleck anymore? Here's a younger actor, because whatever the Flash did in that alternate timeline changed the world. And so you don't even have to, Batman can still be Bruce Wayne, change the actor, keep Henry Cavill as Superman if that's what you want to do, and just literally pick and hand pick what you want, recreate your own universe. And the Flashpoint event will be seen as the first movie starting off a new linear DC universe that is cohesive, similar to the way the Marvel Cinematic Universe is cohesive. That's what I would do. Do you have anything?
So I want to kind of continue on that. You said a lot of like Flashpoint, and you'd keep this, maybe if you wanted to get rid of this. What would you want to keep? What would you want to get rid of?
Personally,
you mentioned a linear story that kind of leads up to one big payoff like the MCU. But outside of that, like, do you want to keep Ben Affleck's Batman? Do you want to maybe make him a little younger? Because, dye his hair black, and just put some makeup on him, and he doesn't look. He can be made to look younger.
I would love to keep Ben Affleck's Batman in the DCU. So if I could have my way, the ones that I probably feel strongest about would be the Holy Trinity. I would keep Gal Gadot. I would keep Henry Cavill, and I would keep Ben Affleck. Make Ben Affleck's Batman a little bit younger, change his personality a little bit, and I would start from those three.
How so? How would you change his personality?
To make it more like the Arkham games, or what I'm familiar with for the comics, where he's a dark loner, maybe paranoid, but he has that softer side. The softer side may be mainly being characterized by the Bat family, include some Bat family members. I think a big thing would be all these projects that they were going to make into like full-length TV shows or movies, like a Penguin series. I would turn those into short films, and that would help us catch up to the MCU. I'd take a bunch of short films that are either origin stories for the side characters of the Justice League or for villains. That way, when I introduce those villains, like if I did a short film for Bane or Killer Croc or Scarecrow, that's not the first time you're seeing them when I introduce them into a movie, if you go and watch those. And I would also use that to bolster my platform of HBO Max. Oh, here's our short film introducing the origins and lifestyle of how Killer Croc came to be. You can only watch that on HBO Max, and it's only 30 minutes, so it's not that big of an investment or that for your time or a big investment for the studio, and you can familiarize yourself with the world and build up a universe of villains and heroes quicker, and then they tie in. So like when the JSA first appears in the Black Adam, they had a short film showing how they came together to join as a team. Now they're not complete strangers.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, kind of mixing in short films instead of doing all these TV series. That's one big complaint of the MCU's TV series, is that there's a lot of like fluff kind of involved.
Yeah, short films could tell the story with a lot less fat, and I think the short film genre is kind of really unexplored right now, whether animated or live action. There's not a whole ton.
30 to an hour
well-known
and 10
ones.
minutes or so,
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool, and then it's like you said, very easy to digest. I like that idea. That's a cool idea that you'd bring to the table.
Do it like a character study, like Taxi Driver or The Joker, like where you really get into the mind of the character.
Yeah, so you're keeping Ben Affleck, making him a little younger, making him a little more of a loner, but he's got a little bit of compassion in him. We got, I'm assuming, Henry Cavill's Superman in your world.
Yes.
We got
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Yep.
I could take everyone
Aquaman.
else. I like Jason Momoa. He's great. I don't feel that attached to Aquaman, but I like Jason Momoa.
I mean, he did bring in the studio $1
billion. Of course.
So
the biggest success.
Maybe keep him around.
It's the biggest solo movie success for them, it seems like.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so then what stories are you exploring? What's coming out first in the Andrew DiChristina DCU?
After Flashpoint, I feel like you've got to start off with Superman or Batman, and I would love to see the Batman story told where Batman goes against Deathstroke that they had storyboarded for Ben Affleck's Batman. Whether it's Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke or not, I think Deathstroke's a cool villain who can challenge Batman and push him to the absolute limit physically, but he's also a brilliant tactician who we can see a mental battle with Batman. So I wanted to see the movie where Batman's challenged as a detective by a serial killer, and we got that. We got that with the Batman. I love it. No complaints, no regrets. But let's do one where Batman's challenged by someone who can meet him on a physical and mental level. Give him Deathstroke. That's what I would want to see.
So, would you keep his brutality? Would you maybe tone it back a little bit to where he's not killing people? Would you have a story to where it explains how he got to that point? Or how would you approach his Batman? Because his Batman is a lot different than most takes on Batman.
I would take Batman as getting towards that direction, right? Where he is becoming a little bit, I don't want to say unhinged, but where he's willing to put in the amount of force we've seen Ben Affleck's Batman put in.
I like the thought of him he starts off kind of wanting to get revenge. He ends up going on this journey, and now he's doesn't want to kill people. People deserve to live, blah blah.
So that's where I'm
for justice. Yeah. And then he kind of is shifting back to his original way of thinking when he wanted that revenge. I think the problem with Batman versus Superman when we saw him is that we didn't get that development. We don't understand why he's killing people.
That's the arc I'm going for, is where he sees himself going down that road, and then I would introduce a young Dick Grayson to become Robin. And when Batman sees the look in that kind of young kid's eye, and he's now a mirror to young Bruce Wayne, that's when he starts to discover who Batman is, how Batman needs to be more than just revenge and needs to be a symbol, how he needs to strike fear into criminals, but also be a symbol of hope, because he doesn't want that kid to live with the same fear that he grew up with that turned him into this kind of darker presence. So I think that's the balance of the line.
So I agree with you so far with your universe here. I think after the Flashpoint, to kind of reset everything, we need to start off with Superman movie. Because like you said, we just got the Batman. We're getting a bunch of stuff in that own separate universe. So let's explore Superman a little bit. And then what would you do? What story would you want in Superman? And then would you do a different movie, maybe another Wonder Woman, and then Batman? That way there's not like Batman fatigue, and there's some hype for Batman coming up a little bit later.
Yeah.
And then into the Justice League. Like, what are you thinking there?
So I would start with, like you said, the Superman movie would be good. I'd use Superman's most prominent villain, Lex Luthor, and then tie in the universe, Easter eggs. Like LexCorp ties in with Wayne Industries, put Easter eggs in there to build the seeds of the universe. So maybe there's a second villain tie-in, like Lex Luthor somehow creates Parasite, going off the idea of the Man of Tomorrow movie I just recently watched. I think he's a really interesting Superman villain. I would go to the Batman movie next, and I would build the Justice League that I love, which is from the Justice League animated series.
So you'd go Superman and then a Batman movie.
Yes. Then Wonder Woman. I would try to tie in. I don't know. I'd have to think more on it to how I would actually do it. Who would get individual solo movies? But I like to see appearances from Hawkgirl, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern in some way or another.
Green Lantern would be a good one. We haven't seen one in a long time.
I think a Green Lantern movie would be a good place to tie in the other characters, because Green Lantern kind of opens up the Justice League to outer space and all these other planets, so he can connect us to Martian Manhunter being the last surviving of the Martians and Hawkgirl being Thanagarian. So that could be a good way to tie in those two characters, and then some world-ending threat that brings them together for a Justice League movie. I like the idea of, I don't love the idea of Batman searching for the Justice League in that movie. I like in the beginning episodes of the Justice League the animated series, there's an alien threat where they, heroes go to run towards the danger, so they all run into each other going towards the danger.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I like where you're going. It's said that they have a 10-year plan now, so maybe we'll be able to get to see some of these ideas come to fruition, and we'll be able to get some better movies out of the DC universe. We got some promising Batman stories coming up either way with Matt Reeves, but it'd be cool to see it all connected together. Do you think that's going to get confusing at all, having two different storylines about the same character at the same time?
See, I think that DC's been doing it really well for years, and Zach has told me that people call these movies that are outside the main DCU continuity, they'll call them the DC Black Label, because in comics they have DC, and then they have kind of a subset called the DC Black Label that prints like alternate universes or darker storylines like Batman Damned, or I think that book on the table, V for Vendetta, is under the DC Black Label. So I think that as long as you just understand what movies are under the Black Label and what movies are in the cinematic universe, then it's pretty easy from there.
Yeah, I'm about both. I mean, I don't want Matt Reeves' Batman and mixed all with like Ben Affleck's stuff. I don't want to see a crossover or anything. So
yeah, I think Matt Reeves doesn't want to either.
As long as they kind of stay in their lanes, I think it'll be good. But either way, Henry Cavill's back as Superman, and it's hard to see anyone else kind of doing that character right now. I mean, we've seen a bunch of other Supermans, and they've done good in their roles at their times. But I think Henry Cavill is the Superman for this universe to go forward with.
Yeah, for our generation, he is the Superman as well. So we love Henry Cavill. We're excited to see where they go. And I think, like I said, there's a lot of optimism looking at DC right now and their cinematic universe.
All right. What do you guys think? Are you excited about Henry Cavill coming back as Superman? Let us know in the comments. go ahead and give us a rating on Spotify. That's going to help push out our show to more people, so then more people can have fun with us and interact, and we can kind of grow this community of movie, comics, and TV show lovers. Andrew, you got anything to close us out?
Yeah, like Aaron said, give us comments as well. Tell us what you want to see the DC Universe do. And then maybe those execs are going to scroll over to our page and, and use what we all say in the comments.
That's right.
Be nice for them to listen to the fans, you know?
All right, and that kind of wraps up this episode. Andrew?
That's a wrap.